This declaration filed today by Kinney County Judge Tully Shahan states that what's happening on the southern border between Texas and Mexico is an invasion as defined by the Texas and U.S. constitutions. And it's asking Joe Biden and Governor Greg Abbott for help immediately. Kinney County Sheriff Brad Coe says the county is being inundated with migrants walking across the border unobstructed by Border Patrol or DPS troopers. Coe and the other 3 sheriffs in attendance said this is not sustainable for them, their budgets, or their small police forces.
Our numbers are going to triple. We cannot sustain this type of invasion.
Congressman Chip Roy was also here in attendance and says the federal government is failing. So it's time for Texas to step up even more.
We should declare an invasion. We should, as Texas, turn people away and do what is necessary to secure our communities.
Former Virginia Attorney General Ken Ciucciolini says this is the first time in history that a judge has found as a matter of law that the U.S. is being invaded. The former Attorney General says the governor needs to accept this declaration of invasion and wage war against immigration by turning people away at the border with DPS troopers.
Where it lists a number of things states cannot do. One of them is wage war, not surprisingly, but that has an exception. And the exception is when you are actually invaded. That's been there since the beginning of the Constitution. The states reserve that right to themselves. They decide that question. The state decides, and that means the governor.
Kinney is not the only county doing this. According to officials, Uvalde, Terrell, Burnett, Goliad, Demet, and Medina counties are also considering or have considered doing something similar to what Kinney did today. Judge Shahan says every border county needs to do this in order to save America.
Today there's going to be a detention hearing for Homero Zamorano Jr. He's going to they're going to decide whether or not he's going to remain in custody on charges of illegal transportation of those immigrants. The 45-year-old Zamorano is set for a detention hearing. Last week, he actually made his first court appearance in front of a federal judge. Now, prosecutors say he had been hospitalized since being found near that tractor trailer, hiding in bushes, trying to pass himself off as a victim. Now, once in court, for that first hearing, he was read the charge of illegal transportation of illegal aliens. Now, 3 others have also been charged in this human smuggling case.
It's no surprise to Stephen Lucky. This is another hot Texas July. What's concerning about it is the impact on plants and vegetation.
Yeah, well, I've even seen some cacti that were suffering.
This is just one example of how the drought is impacting our area.
Summer can already be a difficult time for plants because, as you can see, they're usually in direct sunlight, and in South Texas, it can get really hot. Lucky says this is even a tough time for some trees. This one, nice and healthy, but if you don't take care of it properly, it could actually die.
What we try to do is use preventative measures that allow us to absorb as much moisture as possible. The traction of people wanting to go out and buy materials for their garden has pretty much decreased. And it's always usually a lower period, but last year was an amazing summer. I think we barely hit 100.
Lucky says with little to no relief in sight, his team is doing the best they can to fight both the heat and inflation.
So it used to take us to fill up our truck about $125. It's easily $200 to fill our truck to go out and do this work. Wood is almost double in price.
Economist Ray Perryman weighs in on the financial impact of the drought.
2011 was probably the worst one they had. That one created about $7 billion in losses. This one is likely to be worse.
Perryman adds crops and livestock are what's primarily impacted. But plants have also had a rough go lately.
We had the big freeze last year, which destroyed a lot of plant life. And then we didn't have enough inventory last year to bring it all back. This year, people are wanting to plant things, do things, get things back in shape. And the drought has made it very, very difficult to do that.